How you think?
27
So
questions.
where you will write an answer like a short answer, okay? The other questions will be Scantron, and I will supply the Scantron. Okay, so don't worry about, you need a Scantron. And so I will supply that. You will just need a number 2 pencil, for sure. Okay. When is our final? Monday. Yeah, Monday at 8, so, for sure. All right. I just want to, last year, I just want to see how you think. See what ideas you guys have come up with on those. So, looking at what I've done, as I've gone through it, and I've gone through this, and then some of the questions on the test, and then the slides to refer to PowerPoints. If you have a book, these are the chapters. Basically, though, it'd be the evolution, population, ecology, and then the species interactions, communities, and ecosystems on those. And then you have the PowerPoints and the Brightspace, if you haven't looked at them. Let's see. We'll look at 13, 14, 36, and 37. One of these I'm not going to spend too much time on because there's not that much that we need to be aware of for the text. All right, one of the questions, Lyell's basic principles of geology argued in favor of. All right, and that was from that little lecture series we watched. What I can do, though, is I can also go to PowerPoint 13, slide 10 here. All right, and so this is what this question will deal with. He suggested that natural forces gradually change the Earth in our still operating day. That, it changes, life changes. And so, that was one of the books that he carried around with him. He said, remember, he was talking about, well, if landforms can change, why not life forms can change too? Okay, so that's one of the questions. Another one dealing with Darwin would be thing here, but let's go and check. I need to go back to this so I can see my slides. I want to go to 19, right here. Know what the definition is to know what it's not. All right, whether it says what would Darwin have agreed with or what would Darwin have disagreed with. Okay, so we're looking at descent with modification. Change over time is another way he put it. The mechanism for this is natural selection. Okay, another question. I'm going to go all the way down, let's see. I'm going to try to go through these and stay on this chapter 13. Oh my gosh, we're so slow. Yesterday we were watching the weather in here. That was pretty crazy for a little while. All right. 97 here. So I've got several questions that deal with this genetic drift, whether it be the founder effect or the bottleneck effect. Okay? So change in the gene pool due to chance. Right here, the bottleneck effect. So make sure you understand what the bottleneck effect is, which is a form of genetic drift. And they show us here, you know, you have all these different genes available, and something happens to the population where you only retrieve a few of those genes, not all of them, okay? And so again, we'll see differences in the new generations. Also, make sure you're familiar with the Foundry effect. A few individuals go out in space and occupy Mars or another planet or what have you, okay? And they're very much isolated. And so you are going to see probably a lot of inbreeding or, you know, not much change in what's been diversification of our genes. That one's there. I'm going to move down to, let's see, try to do it this way, 4, 6, 7, right here. I've got examples. I'll have 3 questions with examples, and you guys can pick out which one of these fits that question. All right? And so there's the stabilizing, directional, and disruptive. This one has the words. The next few slides have the pictures. Okay? So this is slide, I think, 108 through 112. So again, just make sure I give you a storyline. For instance, you'll look at this one here. You know, I'm going to give a storyline that may fit this one, you know, so you would choose this one. I give you another story that might be here, another story that might be there. So make sure you know the differences between these in order to be able to pick which one fits. Okay? You okay on that? Slide 55. Make sure you know what a homologous structure is. Or homology. Alright? These are the words, and then I can show you the pictures, you know, the same structure but different functions. Okay? That would be homologous or homology. I've done that one. Let's see. I'm looking to see if I have any others that might be. Alright, now I'm going to move to okay, so now I'm on the one here. Alright. And I need to go. See, I want everyone passes this. Everyone, so I gotta make sure I get these ones down for you guys to look at. Alright. Know the definition of a population? Simple enough. right here. Be familiar with these different patterns. We've got clump, uniform, and random. Pattern of dispersion. Okay, so be familiar with those to be able to pick out which type of pattern this would be. Here, dependent, independent. Somewhere along in here. All right. Make sure you know the difference between density dependent factors and density independent factors. Okay, when we're talking about population. Density dependent would be things like mentions here. Let me get it back up this way. Just do that one in a minute. For instance, density dependent, disease is one that's not listed up here, disease, food, nutrients, okay, habitat, the nesting site. Those would be some density dependent factors. Density independent would be, for instance, fires, storms, habitat destruction by human activity. Unrelated, these are unrelated to population density. If you get population becomes too dense, then you're going to see some problems with that. Anyone know people that have catteries because they just can't turn away the cats, and they've got hundreds, 50 maybe, 30, 50, 100 cats around. Eventually that population will take care of itself. Okay? Maybe not due to food because they're always feeding them, but maybe due to disease. Whether it be diseases or parasites, what have you. Okay? So those would be density dependent. Or a storm comes through or a fire comes through, and that might take care of the population. Then you're talking about density independent factors. Okay? So no difference between those. Let's see, what else on this one? Let's see if I've done this one. All right, make sure you know the survivorship curves. You'll be given an example, and you're going to say, oh, well, this is survivorship curve 1, 2, 3, or you're given the explanation of the curve, and you're not really saying, oh, it's survivorship curve 1, 2, or 3, but maybe it's telling you a survivorship curve number, and then you are telling about that curve. Okay, you're choosing the correct answer that describes that curve. Okay, so make sure you pay attention to the survivorship curves 1, 2, and 3, and what they are dealing with. Anyone have any questions on that one? On what the survivorship curves are? And as you can read the graph, again, you can see where we would be versus birds, rodents, whatever here, versus then the ones that lay so many because they know they don't survive. They have to lay thousands and thousands of eggs or offspring. Okay, there's that one. Let's see. Alright, down here on carrying capacity, make sure you know what carrying capacity means. Just reach this carrying capacity. On this, for instance, this one here, let me see if I'll get the whole picture so we can see the graph itself. Here, which year did this population reach its carrying capacity? 1940. I heard 1940?
Yeah.
Okay, because you're looking here, usually right where it starts to plateau, that's where you're going to choose. Okay? So that would be a question that says, yes, you do know what carrying capacity is since you were able to choose the correct year. Okay? All right. This one. Here, make sure you understand these demographics here, these graphs when you're looking at these, all right? This is a question I mentioned the other day when we were looking at these in class, all right? You're wanting to move to a country and you see a graph such as this. What does that show you in 10 to 20 years' time once you move into that country? Okay? And so you'll be able to choose which of the answers will fit that. Yeah, that's it. Now let's go to 30, this other one, this 37 one, or the communities and ecosystems. Okay, and look at it. Some of these ones here. Make sure you understand these. You'll be given some examples, and you'll be saying, oh, well, that's mutualism. Oh, you know, I think I've got on the study guide, left one out. Which you guys would know anyway. I've got mutualism, parasitism, commensalism. I also need to put competition down here. I forgot to put competition. But you guys would know competition. Alright, so make sure you know the difference between those. Next. Niche, know what your niche is. Let's see, understand what niche means. Not too much here, that. Be able to do a food chain or a food web, know what it is, and know the difference between producer, primary, secondary, tertiary consumers. Easy, okay? Very simple question there. Let's see. We mentioned these, know these, also know the definition of interspecific competition. Two different species compete for the same resource. Okay, so that one, make sure that's a specific question. You'll see intraspecific and interspecific. Well, this question deals with interspecific. That one. And then we need to go down here. And I've got this picture on here. So simple. Alright, right here. Just be sure to look at this over, okay? Primary succession versus secondary succession. So we're talking about ecological succession. Alright? That's what we're doing here. Primary succession, no soil. Secondary succession, there is soil. You know, the major difference between those two. Alright. And so you are given a picture such as this, and you may see rock here, or you may see soil or plants, and you're going to say, oh, that's primary succession, oh, that's secondary succession. All right? That's all there is to it on that one. So let's go back to the study guide. keystone species? What is a keystone species?
It's that if they die, it's gonna affect everything.
It's gonna affect everything else, right? And so, it'll kind of do that trickle effect all the way down. Okay, so I do have a question over the keystone species. What would you expect if the keystone species, give me an example of a keystone species.
Bees.
Huh? Bees, okay? Give me an example of a keystone species that would be a predator. I think of the Lion King. Had to watch the movie this weekend several times. Would that be a keystone species? Possibly a lion?
Yeah.
So if the lion is a predator, is a keystone species, all right, and there is a decrease in that keystone species, what effect would that have?
The things that it eats are going to, the population of the things it eats are going to increase.
Right, so everything else, just common sense. So that's these last three questions that I have that are short answers. It's just seeing how you guys think, and a lot of it's just common sense, all right? And that's what I want to see. That's what I want to read. I enjoy reading those questions, your answers on that. So let's see here. We've done basic principles of geology. What did he argue in favor of? I'm going to go one more time because I want to make sure you guys are going to make A's on this test. What did he argue in favor of? This Lyell's Principles of Geology.
The structure of the lands change and the things that inhabit it with it, and this is constant.
And that landforms change over time, the structure changes over time. What would be a good definition for evolution? Several definitions, I guess you could say. I said change over time. What's another one?
Natural selection.
That would be the mechanism, natural selection. What's acquired selection? We've got natural selection and acquired. What would be acquired? What's considered acquired?
To obtain something or to get something, perhaps. So this means like it's maybe like how humans are, I guess, like how we.
Is acquired selection in the genes?
No.
I mean, natural selection we're talking about, yeah, genetics. Give me an example of an acquired selective trait. You talk about dog breeds, I mean, and they mentioned pigeon breeds where were they naturally or were they artificially acquired traits? When we can put two breeds together and get, what we want. So just, make sure you know the difference between those two. Okay, these are the ones, the founder effect and bottleneck effect. All right, those are two forms of genetic drift. Being able to pick out, giving you a storyline, an example, and you can tell me, oh, that's the bottleneck effect, oh, that's the founder effect. Okay? These will also be examples of directional, stabilizing, and disruptive, and you're going to choose which one it is. Okay? Uniform, random, clump dispersion. Yes, you give an example, and you choose, oh, it looks like it's clump, oh, it must be random. Okay? No pictures, just words, just descriptions, okay, of those. Same thing with 1, 2, and 3 survivorship curves. All right, you're given an example, and you're saying, oh, well, this is type 1, 2, or 3, or you're given the type 1, 2, or 3, and you're choosing which one is the best description of that curve. Definition of population. What the carrying capacity is, to be able to know it, to see it like we did on that graph. Knowing Density dependent versus density independent factors. What would be a density dependent factor?
Dissolution.
I heard what? What did I hear? I heard density dependent.
Disease.
Disease,
Parasites.
somebody said something else. Nutrients, food resources, your habitat, you know, that kind of thing. Versus the independent,
Fires.
you have no control over, right? All right, no, mutualism, parasitism, commensalism, competition, those different relationships. Be able to know what a keystone species is. Primary, secondary succession, when you're talking about ecological succession, that's the one I've got a picture of. Homologous, homology, you know, same structure, different functions, okay? Interspecific competition, competition between two different species. And then questions pertaining to that age structure graph, you know, that we looked at, if you're wanting to move to another country. And then I also have this primary, secondary, tertiary, and producers relate to the food chain. This one has the picture like you saw there, and there's a question about it, okay? On that. Pretty simple. Some of you guys will be in here and out of here in no time. And then you also have those 3 questions that you'll have to answer on the test itself. You guys have any questions for me?
Are we gonna talk about the lab on Friday? Okay.
Yeah, I just wanna get through it.
I'll save my questions then.
Yeah. Yes,
As far as grading goes, when will we expect the grades for the exam?
we have to have them turned in by the Tuesday of the following week, by noon. Me, I'll get mine done, cause I wanna be out of here just as much as you guys do. Yeah, I need a break.
So will the bonus points be put in before that, or will they be?
No, they'll be figured when I get your total points after the test, that'll be our last grade. And then I'll go down and look at how many bonus points you guys have, and then that's added into your total. Yeah, right there at the last. Yeah. And feel free, you know, I'll do my best to get it done, you know, because our test is Monday, and hopefully I can have it done by Tuesday, Wednesday for you guys. And if you wanna know the breakdown, if you're on campus, stop by, you know, feel free, or I can email it to you of how many points you received, your total points versus our class total points. Yeah, I can let you see that. Okay? All right, any other questions before we move on to this lab? Okay, let me go grab what we're gonna be doing in lab on Friday.
Hey, can I take a picture of this?
I was actually gonna scan it and email it to you, but you're
Oh.
welcome to.
Hey, if you would rather do that, I would love that.
I don't mind helping my
Like,
kids out with that. Try to see if I can get the audio compressed so you can, because I have timestamps.
Oh, cool.